let me introduce to the beginning of calculus. Now, last year you have learnt about limits and a couple of parts about derivatives, right? Calculus in this year especially has a lot of weightage, and also it has been divided into multiple chapters. All right. Now, this is the very first chapter introducing you to calculus. All right. This chapter is the continuity and differentiability. Now, what we have in this chapter is we start with the concept of continuity. What is continuity and what do you mean by continuous functions? Here we are going to use the concept of limits, which you have learnt last year. All right. Then once we are done with continuity, then we move on to the next concept, that is differentiability. Now, if a function is differentiable or not, we are going to understand in that one. Because last year when you have learnt about derivatives, you learnt about first principles and all those things. Now, the concept behind that first principle and everything comes in differentiability. Again, here also we are going to apply the concept of limit. Once differentiability is done, then we move on to differentiation, which you have learnt last year. But there is no first principle as such, directly application of the formula. You're going to understand different types, like you have product rule, you have quotient rule, and you also have different types of functions, like you have trigonometric function, logarithmic function, exponential. You have different types of functions. Now, how do you differentiate these different types of functions? That is what you start, and this is what you're going to go through this entire chapter. And once the derivative is done, then we move on to second order derivative. That is, you're going to differentiate the function twice, and you're going to understand how the function is going to change. All right. Now, once you have that second order derivative, there are certain basic proving problems what you have. Now, this is the entire chapter of continuity and differentiability. Now, you're going to understand a very important part of calculus in this chapter, that is differentiation and second order derivative. These are the very important part of this particular chapter. All right. Now, from the next video onwards, we'll start with what is continuity and basics of continuity.